it's me again, and I'm hoping that you know me by now. Joy Ruffen coming to you from the Sunshine State. And as always, it's good to be with you. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., this show, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, Living Legacies, comes to you where the intention is to introduce to you a woman, a lady, who's very much involved in supporting you, aiding and assisting you in every way possible to be and rise to all that you're here to be. And tonight our guest is Cheryl Piper. And Cheryl is going to come, Cheryl comes to us. She has so much to offer that I'm not going to even read through all of her credentials. I can just tell you that she is a relationship coach and a business coach and a conversational IQ, and it goes on and on. She's going to share with you a little bit about this, but I want her to talk with us tonight about relationships, and then we'll branch out into other things. So let's say hello to our guest tonight, Cheryl Piper. Cheryl, here you go. Say hello and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Joy, for inviting me to your show. And hi to everyone out there listening. I'm Cheryl, and I'm excited to be here. So let's talk about relationships. As Joy was saying, I have like all these different, certifications, but boy, I just say I'm a relationship coach, because it all comes down to, whether that relationship is in business with our business colleagues, if that relationship is in our, personal life with our family, or the biggest one that I talk about a lot is that relationship with ourselves. How about that, Joy?
I think that from my perspective, and you will always bring me back to the fold, into the fold, because for me, and you've had a brief conversation, the conversation that we have with ourselves and the relationship that we build and we bring to the fore with ourselves, that's the beginning of relationships. And relationships have to be powerful and impactful for any and everything that you do. So naturally, it has to start with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that kind of brings me into, I would love to talk about that and kind of wrapping in that conversation piece of it, because by being a conversational intelligence coach, I love bringing that in when we're talking about our relationship with ourselves, because the way we talk to ourselves and the conversations that we have with ourselves, I know this used to be so true for me, and I've worked for years to create that positive dialogue internally. But, a lot of us are working on that. And when we think about the conversations that we have with ourselves, if someone would walk up to us and start saying that, we would just be like, you need to get away from me. You can't talk to me that way, right?
Yes, absolutely. That brings a chuckle, because it's we have a friend who says the harder you laugh, the truer it is. And yes, that is so true. There is no doubt about that. Today, I think, Cheryl, with all of you and I and so many others are completely in touch and in tune in every way with technology, which is phenomenal. Here you are. I'm in Florida, you're in Pennsylvania, and we are connected. And yet, technology has taken away a lot of what's important in relationships. And that's the ability to connect and the intimacy of connecting. How do we get around that in the best ways when we're connecting?
Well, that's a good point, Joy. I'm glad. That's a very good question. I'm glad you brought it up. In looking at what you and I are doing right now, in utilizing technology in this way, I can see you. You can see me. I can see your body language. I can see when you're excited about something. I can hear the inflection in your voice. So that this is a great way to use technology when we're texting all the time, or we're just typing. Then it's really hard to be able to connect in that way, because we're not actually seeing that body language. We don't have the eye contact. yes, it's much better to be in person with someone, absolutely. But if you can't be, this video conferencing, I do business meetings this way.
Yes.
People will call, they'll say, can we meet and talk about it? And even if we're in the same town, I'll say, you know what, I've got a really super busy schedule today, but I want to talk to you. Call me on Messenger, on Facebook, and we see each other and we talk, and they love it.
That's understandable.
They feel connected. We're connecting, but yet we both, it doesn't take as much time to do it.
Yes. So, I think you're right on point there. I think because of the lifestyle that all of us are leading today, busy, and there's another word for busy, but we're all involved with so many different things. It's hard to get to the telephone or to do this. And yet there's certain times when you have to do the visual, because you're no matter how good you are with verbalizing what you want to say, it's so much better when you say it where you can see the person, you can see everything and what they're expressing and how they're expressing, because there's only so much you can conceal when you're connecting this way. Is that not so?
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And how many times have you gone back and forth on an email with someone to go, okay, we need to talk? Because obviously this isn't working. You know what I mean? I'll go back and forth on an email maybe 2 to 3 times, and I'll say, okay, we're not communicating here.
Yes. Yes.
And you get it done so much faster just by connecting in that human way, of whether it's a conversation on the phone or a video chat like this.
And today, Cheryl, there is no excuse for not being able to be, and I say this and it's a double whatever, because there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to be more effective in our communicating, because you can do it so many different ways where visually people can really see and understand what you're about and what you're trying to, what you're conveying. That's important.
That is true. That is true. But that also brings me back to the other side. And now I'm going to jump on the other side of it, which is, I read a report I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was from Stanford University, and it was talking about how 9 out of 10 conversations miss the mark, meaning we're not communicating. We think we're communicating, yes, but we're not. And so it's so important. I mean, I have a whole course called Conversational Cocktails that's about that. It's about communicating with each other and how we're communicating and why we're not communicating, what's going on in the brain, what's going on in internally, because it all comes down to perceptions.
I love that name.
Conversational. I was like the front page of the front cover of it. I have these like martinis that are really pretty color glasses, and then it's Conversational Cocktails, but the reason that I'm calling it that, because I mean, I do get into some neuroscience with it, but not enough to bore anyone. But really why I called it that is because when we look at the neuroscience of what's actually going on in the brain when we're having a conversation, we're having a cocktail with neurochemicals. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whether it is co-creating with someone and it's a great conversation, or whether someone has just pushed all our buttons and we've gone into a full amygdala hijack and we are just like shut down. I don't want to talk with this person. And it's a completely negative response where we're releasing cortisol into the system. Mm-hmm. And so that's what creates that difference in how we're communicating, because people see things from their perception. Mm-hmm. And so I can say something to you, I have no control over how you are going to receive that message. You'll receive it from your window of perception. And let's say you've had a bad day, everything went wrong, and you're just not in the best mood. Well, are you going to receive that in the same way as if you're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and feeling great?
I hear you loud and clear. Now, this question is going to, I don't know if I'm feedback here. Do you feedback here?
I don't.
Okay, good. Let me ask you this. I think you more or less answered the question, but why is it you think that people are not able to communicate? I know there are numerous reasons. What's the main reason that people aren't able to communicate and convey exactly what it is they want to say?
Well, I think a lot of times it can have to do with how you show up for a conversation, because now there's a lot of things going on right now where people are very upset, and they show up for a conversation perhaps wanting to be right rather than wanting to listen to connect. And so if it's how we bring ourselves to the table, if we can have a conversation with someone that we don't have anything in common with, I mean, we think completely opposite of them, but we can still have a conversation by simply bringing ourselves to that conversation to be able, with the thought pattern to, I want to listen to connect. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to assume I have something to learn from this person, and I'm not going to bring my judgment.
I think without question that you hit one of the many nails on the head, because that point of wanting to always be right will always put you in a losing position, because you're not listening, you're not hearing what's being said, and you can't respond because you're wanting to be right. And in conjunction with that, I put, there is this saying that we all want to be seen and we want to be heard and seen. Yet there's a qualifier there, and that is that you have to be present and attentive. And when you can do that, then you don't have the hunger to be right.
Exactly. You have no agenda. You're simply showing up, assuming that there's something for you to learn from this person. And if it's a person who always thinks that, oh my goodness, I can never talk to Cheryl, we never agree on anything. So they're coming in with a defensive mode to the conversation. And so if I can show up listening to connect and without judgment and assuming that I have something to learn from this person, they're going to feel that from me. They're going to feel that energy from me, and they're going to bring their wall down. And then we are really going to start to communicate and talk about really what they do think.
I love this. This is all right up my alley. You know, Cheryl, I see we have lots of friends here. Hello, one and all. We'll get to you at the end before we say goodbye. I'm going to say hello to everyone. There's Roy, you know Roy Montero.
I see Roy and April. I see April there too.
Yes, hey. And there's Carl, and there's my Eloisa, and a few other people. And it's always good to see friends here championing you on. That's what it's all about. Let's talk a little bit about, because I know this is always big, a little bit about perception, the power of perception. Talk to that in the most positive way. Of course, that's the only way.
That's actually what my thesis was for my master's. Yes, it was entitled "The Power of Perception," because it's so important, you know. And I know people hear, you know, perception orders reality, and it's like, oh yes, pass the salt, you know, and not really taking that to heart as to what that means. But how I perceive the world really does create my reality. And if I'm walking around in a fear-based state and everything that I see around me I deem as being a threat, then that is my perception of the world. That is my reality. And so therefore, can I hear you, or can I communicate with you in a way that's going to be using my imagination, using inspired thought, being able to co-create with you? I'm not going to be able to do that because I can't tap into that area of my brain. I'm coming from that space of fear.
Yes. And fear. Oh, that word fear.
Yes.
Fear, it absolutely, completely, and totally embraces so many people. I think without question, and speak to this, that's why personal growth and personal development has become so big within the past 10, 20 years. I think it was always out there, but now it's really a big area of excitement for a lot of people, because after a certain point, most of us, and I can speak for me, but I know, and I've spoken to a lot of people, we realize that we need help. And it's not a weakness. It's being very brave and very courageous when you can walk up and stand in front of the mirror and say, got a lot going on here, but I need a lot of help in these other areas. And do you feel that that's one of the reasons why personal growth and personal development is so big right now, and people are searching for all of the things that help them to rise to their greatness? Because, I think it was Les Brown who said we all have greatness within us. And I love that.
Absolutely. And we all do have greatness within us. I mean, one of the things that I do when I start my meditations that I do on Sunday night, one of the very first things that I say is, you are powerful. I really want to get people into that state of mind and that space when they're coming into a meditation. But in what you were saying, I mean, it's so important. There's so much going on right now. Yes, people are realizing, I'm really wanting to step into this development part of my life. I want to transform. I want to grow. And I'm not quite sure what that may look like. And I think it was 2 weeks ago on my show, it was called Stepping into Courage. And that's what it was about. It was about, we can have situations that happen to us in our life that just pull the rug right out from under us. And we can be paralyzed by fear, paralyzed. And that's normal when the situation happens. However, stepping into courage to step through and walk through that situation, it doesn't mean you're not afraid. It simply means that you're not going to let the fear control you. And when you have that inner strength that comes up in you that allows you to step into courage, you are just radiating a whole different energy at that space. You're so powerful.
No doubt about it. And one of the things that I think most of us began to realize after a short time, Cheryl, is that when you can admit that you lack, and as far as business and education, to go for that, and you continue on until you get whatever it is that you need. But when you can admit that within your own inner being, your soul, your essence, that you need something, you need help. Help is a good word. It's not a word to run from, because when you can ask for help, it shows that you are courageous and bold. And I think it was Maya Angelou who said of all the characteristics and the traits, one of the leading ones was to be courageous. And courageous is when you can ask for help. Now, you do a lot of work with a lot of different people other than relationship coaching and business coaching. Tell us a little bit, I love this, about your heart math coaching. I love that.
Well,
because that was one of my favorite subjects.
I do. I kind of incorporate that in with a lot of things, but I mean, I do have a course. Heart Math has a course that I offer that's strictly a heart math course. And heart math is designed, oh my goodness, heart math has been around, I want to say, for 26 years. I could be wrong on that. It may be a little bit longer, but it's really designed to build resilience and having that resilience. So when you're in tough situations, when you have something happen that could cause what's called an amygdala hijack, which is where that fear takes over or that distrust takes over. And instead of going into that state, by practicing these heart math techniques, we're connecting our heart energy with our head, and we are staying in that space of power. We have that resilience to call on. I can be doing a heart math technique right now looking at you, and you don't even know I'm doing it.
Oh, I love that.
You don't even, like, you could be sitting in a boardroom. Like, it's fantastic for business. It's fantastic for athletic departments. Athletes use it to get themselves in the zone. Police departments use it. The military uses it. It's creating that space that allows me to stay into that space of power in responding to you. Like let's say you're in a corporate meeting or whatever, and your boss or something is coming across the table at you, and I can't believe you did that. What were you thinking? And when these type of things happen, you can get thrown into a space of fear, like, oh, somebody's attacking me. And with being able to practice heart math techniques, you can sit there and breathe into your heart zone and create that state of peace within you, that you're going to be able to speak clearly back to that and not respond to it, or not be able to respond to it. Because when you go into an amygdala hijack, you're going to do one of four things. It's fight, flight, freeze, or appease. You're going to do one of those four things. And how many times were you in a situation like that where you freeze, and then later you think, well, I should have said this, and I could have said this. Well, of course, later you can think of all those things you should have or could have said, because you're not in that state of fear or distrust or feeling ruffled.
Fascinating. This could go on and on and on, and have to come back because there's so much to cover. There is so much that's more than powerful and instrumental and helpful for so many people. This might be not an easy question, but I know that you get all types of people, personalities that come to you. But what would be one to two, three of the main concerns that people bring to you that they want you to help them to work through?
Well, I would say, people going through just life challenges, whether that's a divorce, it could be a job loss, those type of things that just really pull the rug out from under you. And to be able to, help them to discover and release those things that are holding them back. Because it could be a divorce from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they're still holding on to that anger. They're still holding on to that pain. And they don't understand, like, why is it every time I try and do something new, it gets going and I have steam, and then all of a sudden, whether it's self-sabotaging, everything just falls apart and goes wrong because you just can't seem to move forward or move past. And you have these situations that you're holding on to. Sometimes you can't even put your finger on it, but there's something there. And so that's why I work with forgiveness a lot, because those are forgiveness issues. And a lot of times it's forgiveness of oneself. That's the hard one. It's the hard one. It really is.
This we know. How do you get people? I'm going to put up your website.
Oh, thank you.
And you also gave me your Gmail. How do you market for people? How do people, word of mouth and with technology, how do you get people to come to you?
Well, I me, Joy, I'm like a technology geek.
I love it. Yes, that's why I'm sticking to you.
I love getting my stuff out online, and I made a commitment this year at the beginning of 2018 that I was going to go on Facebook Live at least twice a week. And so I've made that commitment to do a show on Monday and Wednesdays. So I'm on Facebook, and you can reach me at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. That's my Facebook address for my business page. And I'm there every Monday and Wednesday at 1. Monday, I pick a topic and talk about it. Wednesdays, I do interviews. Sunday evenings, I'm on Facebook Live with meditation, because I've had so many people talking with me about getting stressed about Monday morning going to work. And it's only Sunday afternoon. It's like it's ruining their evening and they're not sleeping well. And I thought, well, I can help with this. So I write a meditation each week, and we do that. So
that's great. That's great.
I really just put things out online. I really do. And
that's great, because also the people who are needing that meditation on Sunday nights to get ready for Monday, what you want them to do and be able to find ultimately with your guidance and your knowledge and awareness is to maybe get more in sync with what's right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us find it early, some later, midlife, and later on in life. But the trick, you're doing what you love now. It's obvious. It comes through in how you speak and how you relate to others and what you're doing. And so, what you want to help people to do is to be able to find that for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Because so many of us are conditioned in so many ways to do things for the money, for the prestige, and all of that. When you have to listen to that soul and that heart beat of what you're all
Oh, it's
about.
it's going to come calling. I mean, you can go along and go along, but it's eventually your soul is going to come knocking at the door and say, "Hey, we have some work to do. We have things to do."
Yes.
And then, sometimes it can be a whole upset and a whole life change. And I know, well, that was kind of what happened with me. I mean, I just had the rug pulled completely out from under me. And it was a whole wow, what now? And you know what? You figure it out and you work through it and you work with people that can help you to see and to
Yes.
help you to get to that space of being who you really are.
Yes. Oh, Cheryl, what a nice way to end. Because for me, this show, the foundation, the platform is ladies, but it's leading ladies. You are a leading lady. All of the, and we're not excluding gents because we need them and they need us. But this is for leading ladies, leaving legacies who are all about, and I have 5 different categories and then subcategories under that. They are female trailblazers, certainly you're one, agents of change, people who are heart-centered leaders, cosmic healers. I love the way you spoke to the soul. Some people, the word cosmic kind of, but we need our cosmic healers as well, and purpose-driven women. You could come under the umbrella of all 5 of those because what you're doing and how you're marketing and putting yourself out there to help, aid, assist, and support other people, not just women, is to be applauded. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know where the time goes. I say that every week. It just goes. And I want to put up your website and your Gmail. I heard you mention it once again, how they can connect with you through love. I heard love, but I didn't get the rest of it.
Facebook is at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. That's where you'll find me on Facebook. That's my business page. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. I love chatting with you. So
right. Well, it's a mutual admiration society. I bring on people where it's kind of that way, and it's a good thing. But what I want you to know before we say goodbye is that I'm with someone who helps me to take this and then take it to YouTube and bring it back. And then we put it on YouTube and it will have all of your information there so that people can connect with you. And hopefully you can take the URL, the link, and put it wherever you choose to put it to market and to let them know that this is what you're doing. Well, they don't have to know, they know that already, but this is what you're doing and this is what you enjoy doing and blah, blah, blah. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's always interesting to hear you speak to what you love doing, and you will come back.
I will definitely come back. Thank you so much, Joy. And thanks to everyone out there. It was great. Thanks for showing up and being present. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, love. Take care.
Bye.
Yes. And let me just say to all of you out there, I get so caught up in the conversation that it's hard to work with all the dials, but we'll get there. But let me say thank you for coming, because it's all about all of us supporting, aiding, and assisting each other. So I am grateful that you're here. Cheryl has a dynamic, absolutely phenomenal background. The work that she does is more than needed, and she's good at it. So if you have any interest whatsoever in maybe upping your relationship skills somewhat, your business skills, and so much more, then please take a look at the links that I'm going to put up so that you can be aware. And more than anything, go to her website, CherylPiper.com. It's a beautiful website. You'll get all the information you need there. And then we will put on this broadcast some of the other links so that you can touch base with her. And need I say that it's always good to be with you? I hope you know that by now. It gets better and better and better. We learn, and we learn. Being a perennial student, it's always good for me and hopefully for you. And any tips or tidbits that you want to send our way, they're welcome. They're embraced. So wherever you are, be well and take care. Know that we'll be back here next Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and we'll look forward to seeing you there. And by the way, I don't have to tell you, I hope you know by now, go to my website, which is www.joyruffen.com. And then next week, we'll have a little gift for you just for showing up. So thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.